What's up, everybody? I am Chris Thompson, back with the one and only Tanisha Spencer now?
Yes,
it was Epps?
Yes.
No, sorry. So
I'm still getting used to that too, by the way.
I think I finally saved it in my phone. But how you been, my friend?
I've been fantastic.
Excellent.
Funny that you brought up the last name change because we're hitting our anniversary 1 year in 3 days.
Good for you. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Fantastic. I'm coming up on 9. November will be 9 since
I need to
my
get
wife.
one of those so then I can stop wearing this.
That's why I got it. I hate jewelry.
I like it.
My wife has one too. She loves her rings, but her rings cover it up.
Great. So when I go home and I'm telling my husband, hey, we got to go get ring tattoos, I'm going to tell it's your fault.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. I'll give him your phone number.
Friends of mine own a tattoo studio.
See, look at that.
So,
Networking.
networking, teamwork.
I like it.
So for those of you who do not know, Tanisha is one of the superstars of Subto. Beyond go-giver, and honestly has helped me out tremendously. I texted you a couple days ago, hey, do you know anybody in this area that might be a flipper? Hey, try this guy. I haven't had a chance to call him yet, but thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So I know just from following you that you've kind of made a lot of shifts in just the investor community. If you would just give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So when we talk about shifts, it's funny, earlier Pace was talking about me being a wholesaler, which I quickly realized was not for me.
It is different.
It's different. It's basically another job. I already have a job.
Right.
So what I found was that I appreciate wholesale as a business practice.
Right.
It just was something that didn't resonate with me because the time that it took and the being on the phone with sellers all the time, it just wasn't my superpower.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
But you also have, for those of you who don't know, she has a phenomenal W-2 as well. So she's a dual career.
Dual career, yes, definitely. And I just got a promotion because I just took another job. So
Good
I
for
can't
you.
run a wholesale company.
Yeah,
And
it's a full-time business.
It's a full-time business.
Because I'm doing a lot of that now, very similar to like a hybrid Lonza. Instead of just picking up their deals, I'm just JVing their deals with them.
Yeah.
You know, cash doesn't work, bring it to me. Let's try to do it creative.
Yeah. You know, what's wonderful about that is what I appreciated about the wholesale model a lot was exactly what you said, which is the JV, the joint venture piece. And so when I decided to get into midterm rentals or extended stay furnished housing, I already had a background with a lot of the clientele that I work with today because I was in the insurance industry for over 20 years.
Certainly helps.
And then I was also a corporate traveler and I used to do disaster claims.
Right.
So where most of my clients are with people that are displaced from their homes due to insurance, now I have the real estate piece that I can bring in. I get to be that service provider, right? But I also have the opportunity now, which is where most of my business is to JV with other people for opportunities.
Perfect.
And so instead of going out and buying properties or finding properties for people to purchase, I actually find properties for people to rent. So if someone's already bought a house, so let's say by chance, you are a wholesaler, you sold a property to someone who then wants to use it as an extended stay rental.
Yep.
Now they can come work with me and I can help them get their property rented, which by the way, we've done this in Subto, by the way. It was an entire circle and that's how it happened.
That's
and
awesome.
then I helped the person get their property rented out through my connections. Community, that's what it's all about. So, you know, I've helped Pace rent out some of his properties. There's several people that are.
So you do all the Pace stuff, right?
Yeah, I do. And they do different things with their properties too. They do, you know, lease options. They do traditional rentals. They do some short-term and midterm rentals. But I found the place that fits for me. So instead of talking to sellers like you guys would on wholesale, I spend my time talking to agents of companies. And I spend my time talking to people who need housing. And so I get to be a service provider to them in that way.
And what market over? Just anywhere, or is there a specific market for it?
No,
your niche,
I work
basically?
with people nationwide.
Okay.
In a lot of places. My primary markets are Arizona and Virginia because I live in Virginia. And I actually own a house in Arizona, and a lot of our community members are in Arizona.
Right.
So that's where a lot of my opportunities come from. But I've done placements in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, Alabama, Florida, pretty much all over the country.
So give me kind of like the I guess a play-by-play of how that deal worked out that you did through all the community.
Yeah, that one's awesome. So one person ended up purchasing the property from somebody that was a wholesaler.
Right.
The person that purchased it did not want to be a wholesaler, but they wanted to be a buyer.
Right. Makes
They
sense.
were going to do short-term rentals, decided that they didn't want to do short-term rentals, and so they reached out to me for midterm rental opportunities.
Perfect.
So again, they've got the property from one person, they bought it, now they own it, but they want to get it rented out, but they don't know where to start. And so I had an opportunity in exactly the place that that their house was located, needed a rental.
Nice.
So that worked out well. The other thing is, for example, I have another one where somebody had purchased a house, subject to, did a rehab, and then they tried to sell it on a wrap, but it didn't sell. And the house sat on the market for some time.
Those are tough.
Right. But that's one of my clientele. So I reach out to people all the time that have properties that are just
Because
sitting.
they're sitting there, and
just
hey,
sitting.
let's turn this
There
into
you
a
go.
midterm rental.
That's right.
Turn your negative into your positive.
That's exactly it.
I love it.
Yeah,
love
so
it.
the one that we have, I just did one with someone in Arizona, and his house had been vacant for a few months. He's losing money.
Yeah.
I have a family in that house now, so not only is he not losing any money anymore, but he's also making
money, right.
So he loves me. It's great.
Heck
so
yeah.
those are my favorite clients, is the ones that we can really serve, that are kind of in that weird place. And you know, your situation doesn't matter. If it's a good fit for everybody, then that's great. But it gives me an opportunity to really connect with people and work with people
Yeah.
in a way that I never even thought about when I started in real estate.
Yeah, it's so simple to think about now, but going back a couple of years, it's like, how do I make all of this come together?
That's it.
So a lot of your people that you're working with, placement with, the owners, are they buying them as, you know, it has to, like if I'm looking at anything, minimum it has to be a long-term rental, LTR.
That's right.
Has to be at least $100 or $200 just in case. You know, I'm not really making much, but I'm not really losing. Is that a lot of what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, I make sure that their properties actually will cash flow as a long-term rental. Now, cash flow for them is whatever it means.
Right.
Right? Everybody's in a different position. And the interesting part is, you know, one of the big lessons that I've learned just by talking to a lot of people, they get really excited about the deal opportunity because someone brought them a deal,
Guilty.
right? We've all done it.
I bought bad deals because I got too emotional, I got
Yes.
too excited, and I was like, oh, I finally found something.
Yeah, so one of my big rules now that I tell people is, just because someone says yes does not mean that you have to.
Yeah.
Right? So that's number one. So you can have somebody, like my favorite ones are the ones where someone comes to me and they say, well, this has a 2.9% interest rate on a sub-2. That's wonderful, but your interest rate doesn't pay the mortgage.
Nope.
Okay? So if your interest rate doesn't pay the mortgage, what are you going to do with the property? So then the next thing is, well, I had one this morning someone sent me, the mortgage is $4,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
And I said, but if it's not rented, who's going to pay for that?
Yeah.
Right? They don't have any money saved up. They have no reserves. And so, you know, my suggestion, you should probably find somebody that, number one, may want to take it over for tax advantages, potentially,
Yeah.
or they have another strategy where it's already working. But just because the person said yes to you doesn't mean you have to buy it. And it doesn't mean it's a good deal for someone else. And so I actually spend more of my time now coaching people through when to say no and being okay saying no.
Right.
Because just like you raised your hand,
yeah.
I've been there. You say yes because you're excited,
Yeah.
especially if it's your first or second deal.
It was like my 10th, and still I was like, yeah, I got it.
Yes.
And just, it's worked out now, but it's taken me a year to get it worked out
That's right.
to where it's not just continually bleeding something out.
Yeah, that's it.
But thankfully, I had enough other things going on, other businesses, to kind of fill that gap. And now that I haven't really, it's not even a Band-Aid anymore. Like I did a full reno on it. It's great.
Yeah, but think about the people that don't have that. Right?
You can very easily in this business go from 0 to hero, but hero to 0. Like that too.
Yeah, or 0 to less than 0, which you think
yeah.
is not possible, but it really is.
It's very possible.
And the stress that it causes is just, to me, it's just not worth it. Like, I think, you know, a lot of times what we forget is there are people who have gone through certain doors ahead of us so that we don't have to go through them ourselves. And that's why the power of the community is so important.
Yeah.
You can see where people messed up. You can see the lessons that they've learned. And they're trying to tell you. They're trying to share that with you so you don't go through the same thing. It's like teaching your kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I have 5 of them. I get it.
Right, exactly. So sometimes you just have to learn the lesson, but some things you don't, because somebody's there to guide you through, to help you make better decisions than what we made for ourselves.
That's one of the reasons why I love being one of the local leaders in the community. I host a monthly meetup. Most of what I talk about there is not my wins. It's, hey, I screwed this up. This didn't work the way I thought it was going to.
Yes.
So let me try to save you from the mistakes I've made. Now, like you just said, to a degree you can get that, but you still have to go through the same stuff, so to speak, to truly grasp it yourself. But if you have a little bit more knowledge from somebody who's been through it, hopefully you don't, if you do make a mistake, you're not making the same mistake or not as severe.
That's right. And all mistakes can be fixed. That's like my newest mantra. Because again, we've all done it. We've all made some decision that if we had a time machine, we would go back and maybe do something different.
Oh, yeah.
But everything can be fixed except for death. That
can't fix that. No, there's really
as
no
far as
coming
we
back from
know.
that. Yeah, too.
That can't be fixed. But everything else can be fixed. And so then we have to figure out, well, okay, I messed this up, but now what am I going to do about it? That's
Right.
the next piece. And so that's where we gain the confidence to keep going forward and know that we're going to make mistakes, but it doesn't mean that we should stop. Doesn't mean we can't be fixed, but it may be a little bit of a pivot. And that's kind of where I am in my business a little bit.
Right. And I'm on my working with the wholesalers. That's
Yeah.
my latest pivot in the business. I mean, I've been in real estate for 18 years, predominantly as an agent. Thought I was an investor, and then I found Subto, and then I actually became an investor. So it's so many just kind of pivots, but I think, I'm pretty sure it was Alex Hormozy, quote, he's full of quotes, but it was either you succeed or you quit before you succeed. Just don't quit. It's plenty of times it's gonna suck.
That's right.
You know, that's.
What do they say? Embrace
it's
the
also
suck. Isn't that how it
embrace
goes?
the suck? Yeah, but it's investing, and there's no guarantees.
No.
And if it worked yesterday, it may not work today.
That's exactly right. That's it. That's how it goes. I mean, that's with me and with my clients when they submit their properties to me, because I have a big database that they can submit to. And the number one thing I tell them is I make no guarantees, because I can't say that your property is going to be exactly what someone wants when
Right.
you want them to want it.
Right.
A lot of things have to align for it to work out, but you know, that's why I encourage people to have a backup strategy. Don't rely on me to be your primary strategy.
Right.
I have my own properties I have to print it out. But when the opportunities are there and on all things align, it works out really well. Like I have a, matter of fact, one of Pace's properties, they needed in Queen Creek, Arizona, of all places. Now this was a house that they just had sitting
Right.
because it wasn't rented. Well, I had a family that needed a place not too far away, and they chose this property. We had that house rented out for $7,500 a month. No furniture at
What?
all for, I think, the better part of 6 months
Good for them.
on a property that didn't cash flow
Just
as
was
a
just
long-term rental.
dead.
Because again, Pace buys properties differently than a lot of people.
He's
So-
been doing it a little bit longer.
He has, and he can afford it.
Right.
But yeah, and then I have another one. The person's regular rental rate is $4,000 a month, which is great. We've already built in their profit. But I had a great opportunity for them, and I was able to lock in an $11,000 a month rental rate on I think it's a 3 or 4 bedroom house in Arizona.
That's awesome.
That one started in December of 23. What year is this? 24. And we already
Yeah.
got an extension until December of 2024.
Oh, that's incredible.
So $11,000.
They'll have that thing. They'll have that thing paid off.
No. Do you think my clients love me when I can, when it all works out and everything aligns?
Yeah.
So it's wonderful.
I was like, they'll have that mortgage paid off in no time at that
Yeah.
rate.
And I'm excited for them.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty.
No, that's
awesome.
phenomenal. And I've worked with plenty of insurance stuff, being a listing agent.
Yes.
You know, not so much in the last handful of years, but previously, hey, this thing's still sitting here.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of rentals for clients, whether they're property management or they just want me to rent it. They're going to manage themselves. I get calls all the time. I'm like, before I really knew, I was like, yeah, whatever. Now that I truly know and I've educated myself on this stuff, I'm like, heck yeah.
Yep, the
No, I will.
opportunities are
I will
there.
sell it all the way. Can you call me every time,
Every time.
please?
That's how you build. But that's how you build
It's
your
networks,
opportunities.
communities.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're looking out for your clients because you're giving them alternative opportunities. But imagine if you hadn't gone through learning things that you did and the time that you spent. What happens is, and I think Pace said it best, earlier today, was the lessons that you learn, the experiences that you have, then you bring them to other people so now they have opportunities too, and that's what it's all about. You can't keep it all to yourself. The whole point of us living is to be a beacon to someone else.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, thank you for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Big thanks to Tanisha for jumping on here with me, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Chris.